Why images and symbols can distort the infinite. In the last discussion, we explored why the name matters. If Yahuwah is the ground of being, then identity stabilizes perception. But that leads to another question. If Yahuwah is the sustaining foundation of existence, why would images, symbols, or representations be discouraged? Why does Scripture say, "You shall not make for yourself a carved image"? Exodus 24. Is Yahuwah insecure? Is this about control? Or is something deeper happening? The problem with reducing the infinite. If Yahuwah is the ground of being, then Yahuwah is not an object within the universe. He is not a thing among things. He is not a super object inside space and time. He is the foundation upon which space and time rest. Now consider what an image is. An image is a finite representation. It occupies space. It has edges. It has boundaries. It is measurable. But the infinite has no edges, no measurable boundary, no containment. The moment the infinite is reduced to an image, the human mind subtly shrinks it. Even if unintentionally. We begin to relate to the symbol instead of the reality it points to, and over time, the symbol becomes the focus. Symbols are not evil, but they are limited. Symbols are not inherently wrong. Language itself is symbolic. A flag represents a nation. A ring represents a covenant. A cross represents sacrifice. The issue is not representation. The issue is substitution. When a symbol becomes the object of devotion, instead of a pointer towards something greater, distortion begins. This is why idolatry is not primitive superstition. It is a psychological tendency. Humans gravitate toward what can be seen, touched, measured, controlled. But the ground of being cannot be controlled. It cannot be contained. So the mind creates something smaller, something manageable, and slowly, the manageable replaces the infinite. Why religion often complicates the path. Religion begins as preservation, memory, structure, community. But over time, structure accumulates layers, hierarchy, tradition, interpretation, cultural attachment, institutional power. None of these are inherently evil, but complexity can obscure simplicity. If Yahuwah is the ground of being, then proximity is not achieved through geography, not through architecture, not through clothing, not through ritual performance alone. The ground of being is already nearer than breath. Yet humans often externalize what is internal. We build structures to reach what is already sustaining us. And in doing so, we can forget the immediacy of presence. Why the infinite resists containment. The infinite resists imagery because imagery suggests completion. But the ground of being is not a completed object. It is the ongoing source of all objects. Imagine trying to draw the concept of existence itself. Anything you draw would be inside existence, not existence itself. That is the limitation of imagery. The mind needs forms, but the source transcends form. This is why theological traditions warn against reducing God to visual likeness, not because art is evil, but because reduction is distortion, the psychological effect of representation. There is another layer. When humans interact with a physical symbol, they can mistake emotional experience for metaphysical connection. A feeling becomes equated with truth. A ritual becomes equated with alignment. An environment becomes equated with proximity. But if Yahuwah is the ground of being, then emotional states do not create him. He sustains the emotions. He sustains the mind interpreting them. He sustains the ritual itself. So proximity is not achieved through image. It is recognized through awareness. Why simplicity is harder than complexity. Simplicity requires interior stillness. Complexity provides external engagement. It is easier to interact with objects than to confront the infinite without mediation. It is easier to look at a symbol than to reflect inward. It is easier to perform ritual than to confront alignment. This may be why the path feels narrow, not because Yahuwah is inaccessible, but because distraction is easier than stillness. The core principle. If Yahuwah is the necessary being, the ground of existence, in all yet beyond all, then no object can contain him, no image can define him, no symbol can exhaust him. Symbols can assist memory, but they cannot replace reality. The danger is not art, the danger is substitution. Closing reflection. The infinite cannot be captured. It can only be approached, not through containment, but through alignment, not through reduction, but through recognition. The ground of being is not located in wood, stone, ink, fabric, or architecture. It sustains all of those things. And perhaps the reason imagery was cautioned against is not to eliminate beauty, but to protect clarity, to prevent the infinite from being quietly reduced to something finite. Because once the infinite becomes manageable, it stops transforming us and becomes something we manage instead. With that being said, we must be mindful and careful of the symbols we bring into our lives. We must understand the root of what they are and their intent. Every symbol has its meaning, and sometimes we invite outside influences and open doors to ideas and energies that we may not intend to. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, comment, share with your loved ones, your family now. And please, join us for our next video as we get into how symbols and systems can be hijacked. Well, we love you all. Take care, and I'll see you there.